Hi, Gabriela Gonzalez. How are you?
Good. How are you? Excited to be
Good.
here.
Welcome and welcome to the Women in Golf. We
Thank you.
are,
I'm excited to chat more with
yeah.
you. And
Likewise. Likewise. So Gab, you are, I would say, an influencer now in the golf world, and I think you've got the handle of Gabulous Gabs across social channels, and cannot wait to get your take on kind of the space and just where you've been, because I think you've got a really cool story that didn't necessarily start with golf. So,
mm,
love to hear more about that and can't wait to just dive into all the details in and out of golf, because I know you've got probably a lot going on there. So, we always start this with how you got into the sport of golf.
yeah, so I graduated college in 2021. I was playing tennis. I played my first 2 years at UNC Charlotte, transferred to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, where I'm from. And over COVID, I came home. It was my junior year. And funny enough, in like fifth grade, when we moved into our house, we had a putting green in our backyard and nobody really played golf. And then COVID hit, what, like 10 years later, and the putting green became the talk of the town. So my brother, my mom, my dad, and I, we would go downstairs every day and we would putt on our putting green. And it honestly just became a daily thing for us. And then we started going to the golf range, and I really just prioritized filming my content. I didn't really plan on having an account, honestly. I just started filming it for myself because I'm such a visual learner that I was like, all right, let's see how I can do, and I'm just gonna post this for myself. I honestly kind of took off on TikTok and Instagram, and here we are.
That's so wild. And I think what's so crazy about that is that this hasn't been that long for you. Two, like so many
Mhm.
people, COVID brought golf a bit more into their life. And it's
Mhm.
kind of cool that you guys probably isolated, bonded over this putting green at your house that you've never touched before.
Yep.
That's so cool because it's like, well, what else are we gonna do? We can't go anywhere. That's so funny. So this was all in Atlanta.
This is on Atlanta, yes. My family also is ultra competitive, so there's only so many board games you can play when you're in quarantine. So we lucked out in having a, a little putting green. It sounds a lot nicer than it really is. It's really just like 10 feet. Like it's the cutest
Yeah.
thing. But so my family and I, it was honestly one of the main sports that we could really bond about because we were all the
That's
same level.
cool.
Like my dad played pro tennis, my brother's a pro baseball player, and my mom
Whoa.
played, yeah, it's very athletic family. And honestly,
Yeah.
golf is the greatest thing for our family, I think, because we're all very similar levels. And it's really fun
That's
to be able
so
to
cool.
go on trips and stuff and plan our kind of future, honestly, around golf. So
Uh,
it was great.
that's so neat, and that doesn't surprise me either. I can relate to that because I um, played D1 lacrosse for a little bit, and
Mhm.
I feel like I left school, and unlike tennis, maybe it's not as easy to find like pickup teams and things like that for women's lacrosse, like just casually
Right.
or leisurely. So I'd played golf since I was a little bit hardly, like went all through college, never touched a club, never went golfing.
Hmm.
And that post college, post sport, like what do you do with it? And as I said, unlike tennis, you just can't pick it up casually quite as easy. And
Hmm.
golf became that like sport for me. And I'm still a casual golfer because I can never find time to do it. But but it definitely like brings you back to something that is competitive, and it sounds like your family is probably very competitive, being professional, a pool of professional athletes. But that's so neat that it's like playing a really big role in your life and
Hmm.
um, kind of career too. But here's a question for you, because you're not just a golf influencer. Don't you have a full time day job too?
I do. I do have a full, honestly, I say 9 to 5, but is some days
Yeah.
it is an 8. It is an 8 to 8. It's in consulting. So the way
Yep.
consulting works is when you have a client, you are on. So you could be working 40 hours, you could be working 80 hours. So I really
Yeah.
try and prioritize my hobbies outside of being behind. Like, I mean, I'm literally sitting at my office right now. So, um,
I bet.
but I try and prioritize getting out. And that's just one thing I took into my career as well after learning golf was kind of just being able to detox from the computer and just from all the screens and being able to just go out there for 45 minutes to an hour and just kind of have your own time to
Hmm.
yourself. And I was definitely the girl that was like, Mom, will you go with me? Or Dad, will you go with me? I don't want
Yeah.
to go alone. Because also it was just more of a manners type thing where I wanted to learn it because they've been playing golf and learn from them. And now I
Hmm.
feel 100% comfortable going alone,
That's
which
cool.
I'm very grateful that I learned that. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely try and prioritize after work being able to just go outside and go swing a golf club. So
Yeah,
remind
it's like
myself
finding
my
that
life isn't just work.
balance. Well, and it's kind of funny because I think from the outside looking in, especially your social presence, like I'm sure there are a ton of people out there that think Gabulous Gabs is who you are and what you do. And,
Mhm.
that's like, because there's plenty of people that make a living off of that. So I think it's
Right.
very cool. And that's kind of like the point of the women in golf, too, is that we all have these lives that circulate, not even circulate around golf, but like are touched by it or in some way influencing just our daily lives. And I think it's
Hmm.
amazing and should be highlighted that like you have a very successful career and you're I think with Deloitte, right? I only know this because,
Yes,
right? I only know this
I
because
am with
like
them.
my family's been in that world. My dad was a consultant forever. I dabbled in it, and I had a sister-in-law that was at
Hmm.
Deloitte. So, anyways, like a very big company in that space, and I know that just like you said, that's almost like accounting those hours. It's not 9 to 5. Um, it's a complete hustle, and it's a lot of
Hmm.
who you are and what you're doing. So I just kudos to you for juggling all that when on the outside looking in it looks like you're this beautiful golf influencer. So
Thank you.
like it's really neat. But I think and you can probably talk to it a little bit, but I think there's um kind of this like transformation you're going through a little bit, and your
Hmm.
content I think is starting to feel like and have this like professional air about it in terms of how you're dressing, and you're talking a lot about how to look a little bit more polished and put together. And do you
Hmm.
think that's a reflection on kind of your business career, or just like what's influencing kind of that shift or change? Or can you talk about where Gabulous Gabs started and what you want it to be?
Yeah, so I've always been into just having the one, being the person that has the closet that the friends come into. So I've just always been
That's
that
cool.
person and I love being that
Mm-hmm.
person. And
Yeah.
I have way too many clothes. I have too many clothes that I can't even fit them in my closet. But
My
I
husband
think
would tell me the
I,
same thing. Can
yeah,
relate.
we'll see that day when my husband realizes that I'm gonna need three closets and he's
Your
not even gonna get
addiction.
one.
Right.
No.
I love that.
But yeah, so after I mean I was blessed. I got to go to private school my entire life. And then I went to college and I basically had a uniform as well. So every time that I got to dress myself up, I tried to make it as complimentary towards my body as possible. And as I
Mm-hmm.
started to get older, I started to realize that this was the common folk, like this was the common girl. And it's not just these runway models that you look at on Instagram. And I ordered
Mm-hmm.
that dress and I'm like, what? What? What kind of material did I just buy? And so I
Yeah.
started to, I love that the TikTok community, because that's kind of where I started, kind of developing my personality online. And then I transferred over to Instagram. But just being able to be honestly being able to make people comfortable in what they wear on the course, off the course, on the court, in
Mhm.
the I mean the office and anywhere. So
Yeah.
and I started to realize that when I would go into the office, people would ask me what I was wearing, or, "Oh, is this comfortable?" And then I would send them probably like 4 different recommendations in what I bought, and that's just my kind of
Yeah.
personality and honestly kind
Yeah.
of my love language too. I'm just like, "Oh, here's give, give, give." So, but
That's cute.
but yeah, so I have really enjoyed getting to put together outfits and being able to mix and match companies as well,
Yeah.
and being able to show women that you can be beautiful while you're still an athlete. And that was one thing that I
Yeah.
really struggled with on the tennis court, especially just because tennis court can get up to like 115 degrees, and nobody feels beautiful when you are sweaty and gross and
Yeah.
in an outfit that you didn't choose, your coach did, who is a 55-year-old
Mhm.
man. So, so it was just like one of those moments that I was like, all
Yeah.
right, time to kind of rebrand my closet and showcase to people that you can honestly be fashionable in a very affordable sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've really enjoyed getting to do that. And then also, of course, not just the outfits, but attacking golf in general as a woman,
Mhm.
where there's a lot of times that we're just like, oh, just grab your clubs and go. It's like, okay, no. Like, it's a lot more than that. Like, I posted a get ready with me in my golf bag, and the amount of men that were like, why do you need a change of skirt? And I'm like, well, you don't know when you might have a
Yeah.
female situation. So, like, it's
We
just little
have to be
things like that
prepared.
that
Yeah.
exactly. And it's
Relatable.
just little things like that that I'm trying
Mhm.
to make it relatable and trying to keep it casual in the sense where you can still be confident and classy and comfy, but
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
like, but not break the bank. So,
Yeah, yeah, that's amazing. And I think I know we enjoyed too. Like obviously we had sent you some gear and you've done such a nice job. And this is what I tell any woman that I send clothes to is like, don't I mean you look super cute at the BMW Classic, no doubt.
thank you.
But I always tell
Got a
people
lot of
like
compliments.
they're so cute. I always tell people, and the way I designed all of this is they're a little bit more of that like capsule wardrobe pieces where they're intended to be worn with 100 other things in your
Mhm.
closet. Like, and I'm such a casual golfer that I hated that my golf outfit sat and collected dust until like I played again. And golf is different than tennis. There's, I mean, certain climates, of course, where it's
Mhm.
hot, but like Chicago, for instance, there's, um, in general, on the average day, you're not like sweating and running laps around the
Mhm.
course. Like it's just different.
Right.
So I was like, why in the world is there not more versatility to some of these pieces and use the right fabric and have the functionality? But back to kind of how you've styled things, like I love when people take like a piece of our collection and just style it with jeans
Mhm.
or like whatever. Like I love seeing those pieces serve people more than just for golf, and everything I designed is typically leans a little bit more lifestyle for that reason. I'm like, if it
Mhm.
looks super golfy, that's not A.PUTNAM. Like it's just not.
Right.
So, but like you're doing a really good job, I think, of sharing with women like how to layer. Like your little video the other day of taking this simple black kind of
Mhm.
athletic dress and just with some styling, it looks like an outfit, which it's so educational. And that's when you've got that neck to put that stuff together. I think women appreciate that a lot. And like you
Mhm.
said, it's the Target sunglasses and the like, I mean, just
Right.
like mixing and matching things, we all do it. It's funny, people
Mhm.
be like, oh, where'd you get those pants? And I'm like, at Zara for like $30 probably
Right.
2 years
And
ago.
it just
I don't
comes
know.
right, it just comes so natural to people
Yeah.
like us that we're very blessed that we have that brain. But then I
Yeah.
remember my mom texts me and she's like, "Hey, so navy and black do or they don't go together?" And it's little things like that where and then the clothes
Yeah.
now, like especially your line, I have been loving it. Just the different cuts as well. Is it's
Yeah.
flattering on the course and it's
Yeah.
not too long and your pant, like the pant where it hits on your ankle. It's
Mhm.
perfect, you know? So it's
Yeah.
it's cute on the course, and then you can go throw on a pair of Sperry's after, and
Yeah,
it still
yeah,
complements it. Um,
yeah.
and yeah, it's just like that little. And as I got older and growing my confidence, I mean, I can't even lie, tennis
Of
kind of
course.
killed my confidence a little bit. Just like as an
Mhm.
athlete and being around so many powerful and athletic females for so long, um,
Yeah.
that I kind of went through all right, let's grow my confidence and what do I really actually enjoy rather than what do people want to see. And so that's when
Mhm.
I honestly started growing more of a following when I actually posted what I wanted to post, not just because people want to see a swing video. Because of course everybody wants to see a swing video. It's cute and
Yeah.
it does well, but it's not as educational as, oh, when I go out to the course, here's how it feels when I swing, or this is what
Yeah.
I want to wear to if it if I'm playing a Twilight Nine and it gets cold after 6:30, you know? So different
Yeah.
stuff like that that I realized a lot of people didn't know, and I just
Yeah.
like I mean I'm young.
Yeah.
And especially like 3 years ago I was like, "Oh, everybody knows that." No, now I'm like, "Oh, a lot of people are on here for educational purposes." Where that's kind of
Yeah.
the way you got to like target social media is, are you entertaining or are you educating? And
Yeah.
definitely trying to do both at the same time. So keeping it fun. But yeah,
Yeah. And
definitely.
I think that's really cool. I mean, it's ultimate. Like, I started this in January, so like everything's new to us, and we're trying to
Mhm.
build a brand, and just every day there's something new that we find ourselves being like, this is who we are, and this is how we're going to show it. And that's a little bit of trial and error, but I think to your point, I have
Of course.
learned from day one. Not even day one. I think it's actually been over the last like 3 months. It's so important to just be true to who you are and what you like, because that is the brand, and you personally, that's you just stand behind it and feel confident
Hmm.
sharing that and all that. And it's obviously the value you're bringing to your audience and community, which is how you're building it. And it's so cool and it's so relatable. But on a personal level, you're building your brand. It's
Yeah,
so neat.
trying to help
So
grow it and grow brands like you too.
that's cool. Yeah, you're supporting women just all around the sport and everything. So do you think you'll here's a question. Do you play tennis at all anymore?
I do. It's one of those things that since I quit when I hated it, I only really hit with my family. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Whenever we're like on vacation or I go back home, just because now I feel like for me, if I'm gonna go play a sport, I'd rather go play golf. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
tennis way better workout than golf, but
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it's more. I'd rather go probably play pickleball or golf in the sense where
Yeah.
tennis. Most of the people that I grew up playing with that live here or are at probably the same level as me, they either quit also or they're teaching or they just don't really
Hmm.
play anymore just because a lot of people that play now are kind of more intermediate level, which sounds really
Yeah,
crappy to me,
right.
but
No,
but
it's
it's
like
one of those things
casual,
where
right?
yeah, if I'm gonna take time out of my day, I would love to go teach myself something new and be around a more social scene. Just because I mean,
Yeah.
24 might as well be social. If I'm gonna go hit tennis balls, I'll go hit with my dad for an hour and burn like 2,000 calories in an hour. It's crazy.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah.
Do you
So
think, if you're willing to talk about it, so what like got you to that point of tennis of being like, I'm done, and even to use the word hate, like what? Because I think there's probably a lot of athletes out there that have gotten to that point, and
mhm.
I've talked to other women in golf. Even recently, it was like yesterday, and she said she got to the point of just resenting the sport and everything about it. And
Mhm.
she had gone through even a few years at LPGA level, but like, what is it
Yeah.
like that got you to that point?
I think it was part of being so. I went to high school in tennis. I don't know how golf is, just because I didn't grow up playing. But in
Mm-hmm.
tennis, I was like one of the only girls in the South that was not homeschooled. So there was a lot of people that
Mm.
were homeschooled for tennis. Um, and there's still a lot of people that went to school, but it was more a tennis focused
Mm-hmm.
school. And I just have never really I've honestly never really had a passion for tennis. It was more of I
Yeah.
was good at it. So I was part of the 1% that could go play college, play on a scholarship, do that. But I realized as I was part of that 1%, I was not the 1% of the 1%, which
Yeah.
me being competitive with myself, I started honestly when I was like winning, even when I was winning, it was more a relief than it was I was applauding myself. So I wasn't going to sleep happy. I wasn't going to sleep super
Hmm.
excited that I won a match. It was more like, oh, like I needed that win. Like I needed to
Hmm.
win that match rather than just wanting to win because I loved something.
Yeah.
And honestly, as I got older, I started to do more research on just who I was, and I ended up getting tested for ADHD when I was 22.
Hmm.
Um, Ended up having that, and so I got diagnosed really late. Learned a lot more about myself, and one of the main things that I learned was I had a lot of performance anxiety, and so I would go out on the court, and I would quite literally rather get off the court and lose than win. I just didn't know how to win anymore. It was crazy. I
Wow.
would just go sit down and I was like, "Oh, I my brain was so blocked off. I just didn't even know how to win." I was like, "Oh, my back." Even to this day, my backhand,
It's
like I make jokes about it.
fascinating.
My family teases me. My backhand has been like a term in tennis is tight when like you're so like honestly
Yeah.
cramped up that you
Tense.
can't even mentally hit your shot. And I'm sure in lacrosse that's similar,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I couldn't hit a I quite literally could not hit a backhand, and to me so it got me so mentally that I it overtook a lot of my life, and I
Yeah.
started losing love for even like working out was one thing just
Yeah.
because I was like, what am I training for? Like I'm not training for anything. And then that's once I quit tennis after college, I was like, oh, why are you guys working out so much? Like, what are you training for? You're not training to win a
Yeah.
tennis match. They're like, no, we're training to be in shape. And that's another thing I
Yeah.
had to relearn was working out for my body rather than working out to be a top tier
Yeah.
athlete. So
Yeah.
it was just tennis was a roller coaster, honestly, for me.
No
And
kidding.
yeah, and I
And I think
do,
what's cool about that.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I think I I mean and even you're young and like it probably actually feels pretty fresh still too. But you haven't like even your perspective on it now of or just looking back on understanding like in the moment it's probably hard to like deal with those feelings and understanding, especially with the late diagnosis of like ADHD too, and just
Mm,
understanding how that mentally plays in your anxiety on. Oh,
yeah,
I
I
can't, I
definitely went
can't
through,
imagine of getting
yeah.
yeah and being in that headspace, but at this point, even learning that, and I think so many people have experiences like that, and realizing like you can make decisions that put you in a better place and learning
Hmm.
how to take care of yourself but it's hard to probably train yourself too in that thought of why would I be doing this for any reason but tennis or
Right.
that sport. So you're like
Hmm.
that mindset and learning that's such a hurdle, and you're probably fortunate even though it's late, like we're fortunate to be figuring it out now. So it's
Oh, for
crazy.
sure.
It's
Like it,
actually
for sure.
quite a
It,
story.
yeah, it was. So I, so 2020 hit. 2021 was my graduation year. I quit that September, my senior year, and which honestly probably wasn't the best decision, but it happened. Just because
Yep.
I lost all time management, and I had been
Yeah.
time managed quite literally for the past, I think, 15 years of my life, and
Yeah.
I I just woke up and I was like, okay, I'm done. And then the next morning, I didn't have anybody telling me to go work out. I didn't have anybody
Yeah.
telling me to go to class. I didn't have anybody texting me and saying, "Oh, we're wearing these shoes today to work out in." And it was a major
Mm-hmm.
identity crisis as well that I think a lot of
Yeah.
all athletes deal with it, especially I know I've talked to a lot of my female athlete friends where we go to these really big schools, we go to these I mean, I went to one of the most prestigious schools, really, really good, probably like top 5 public school in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a sport, but they didn't really help me with the career. It's more of like, oh, you're not going pro? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you'll figure it out. You're a student athlete. You have that on your resume. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a student athlete, but I have no experience. I've never been interviewed. I've never had this conversation I've never been honestly an adult. And I'm 22, I'm
Yeah.
graduating, and I
Yeah.
have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And so I was like, okay, well, I like golf, so I'm gonna just go work at a golf club and clean clubs. And that was kind of my way of getting out of my room, just because I was honestly down so bad. I was
Was
like,
this was that senior year or was that after
mhm.
graduating?
This was senior
Okay,
year.
so
So I played 3 years of
okay,
college
cool.
tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I
So you picked up a
and
side
because
like a
all my
job
class
at a yeah, go ahead.
it was like $6 an hour. $6 an hour. I cleaned golf clubs because the biggest issue was if I wanted to get an internship to put on my resume, it was all
Yeah.
online. And I am such a hands-on learner. I'm a hands-on person. I just love to be around people that I was like, I don't care what I'm doing. I will work as a barista. I need to get off of my laptop. My mental health
Yeah.
is so bad. It was probably the worst it's ever been. I hope it never gets there again, but
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot from it. My friends and I talk about it all the time. But it's just one of those things that you don't realize you're having an identity crisis until it's over. And I realized that like after, and I made an executive decision to move away from Atlanta and just kind of reinvent myself. And this when social media was going on, but just kind of really wanted to focus on myself for like the first time in my life, because
Mm-hmm.
all the other times I felt like I was doing it for somebody else, this other girl that
Yeah.
played tennis, this Gabriela who
Mm-hmm.
was a tennis player. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh wait, I don't have to play tennis anymore. I don't have to. I can be myself. I can be Gabriela the businesswoman. I can be Gabriela the
Yeah.
content creator. I can be Gabriela the
Yeah.
golfer. So
Yeah.
it was a realization moment that honestly took me a lot, honestly, a lot further than I probably could have ever
Yeah.
imagined. And killed a lot of performance anxiety just because I kind of took that into all my life. I was like, oh, well, if I'm anxious on the tennis court, I'm obviously anxious in person.
Anxious
I'm
everywhere.
anxious
Yeah.
when I have to go to dinner to people. And it just kind of started taking over my life. And then I
Yeah.
started kind of tackling each thing individually, being like, okay, these are my friends. You don't need to be anxious around them. This is your family.
Yeah.
This is class. Like, this is your job. This isn't tennis. This isn't just this little angel and
Yeah. You
demon
like
on your shoulder.
it's so cool. So I think what's probably unique too that you found this because it's probably not as easy for people to like really hone in on it, but like finding your trigger and what it is that really affects your like mental state. So that you've identified, I think, early on, and as I said, you're young and you were fresh out of all this, but you've really realized what your trigger is and how to control it. And even if it's not always tennis, you probably now can feel and identify
Mm.
what that is in
Oh, for
certain
sure.
circumstances in your life where you're like, whatever this is that's making me feel like that is like not what I want in my life, and it's not, that's really powerful. And I'm assuming so. Golf is, would you say, kind of your happy place right now?
It is. I haven't competed, so we would have to see how I do. But I'm
Do you
not
think you
even
would? Do
close
you
to
want to?
it.
Do you want to get to that level? Like, do you think you're? Is that? And
I
that's
don't
kind of that
know
question
if,
of like, what's next for you? But
yeah, I don't know. Oh, definitely that would not, if I had a 52 card deck right now, playing would not be on any of them. But
yeah,
I do love the competitiveness of it. I've, as I got into golf, I started to realize that I blamed a lot of outside things with tennis. Like I would be like, oh my gosh, the wind is so bad, I can't serve,
mm-hmm.
or the court is uneven. I just can't hit a backhand because of that. Where with
Yeah,
golf, as I'm maturing, I'm starting to realize if you're blaming anybody, it's yourself. Like you
mm-hmm.
decided to get up and go play. You decided to go spend the money to go and play this course, and you're either
Yeah,
going to have a lot of fun with it or you're not. And I mean, now that I'm a lot happier human being, I am just
So
kind of
good.
using that to honestly push myself forward and just enjoy every time I get to go outside. And sometimes
Yeah.
it's with my parents, and I'm like, how much fun is it that I can go play with both of my parents right now and
Yeah.
be on the golf
Yeah.
course? Like I am so
Yeah.
blessed to have that. And it's more of just
Yeah.
it's a lot more appreciation than competitiveness,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm trying to learn how to
Like
use both of
separate.
those at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
if it came down to anything, I would keep appreciation more than wanting to be competitive.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. There's
yeah,
some probably
for the next, yeah.
probably some value to keeping the the competition out of something you love right now, or finding that balance
Hmm.
between the two. But it also seems like it's kind of your um, natural self too, of having that competitive edge. So I'm sure you'll find some fun ways to incorporate it without it overtaking you, which
Hmm.
is fun.
I'll try to. It's normally probably just when I play with my brother, but
Oh, I
that's about
can
it. Normally,
just imagine.
and I'm the older sister, so
Oh,
definitely, but
okay.
we definitely have like a brother relationship. Like
Yeah.
which sounds so cringe, but we do. Like I probably hit him more than anybody. Like him and I fought so much,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we became friends in college, honestly, because 2 years younger, he was just like freak athlete. He was so good at tennis, baseball, basketball, golf.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, he'll probably if he just picked up a club, he'd probably go shoot like 79.
Oh
Like
my gosh.
just talent. And
Talented.
so
Mm-hmm.
I of course had to be the ego boost, the ego popper.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
no, like you're not that good. Like you're not. And so then
To show them up.
once we got to college together, it was a lot of fun to be able. We honestly lived in the same apartment complex, so
Oh,
I got to see
cool.
him a bunch. We got to actually become friends, become brother sister friends, and
That's really
so
cool.
and he's still, yeah, it's still my best friend. I would consider my parents and my brother my best friends. So
Oh my gosh.
it's a
You're
lot of
so
fun to have
lucky.
them, and I'm so blessed. And this is
That's
probably
neat.
over COVID, honestly. Over COVID, we became
Yeah.
really close. We over Christmas we do a family golf trip every year, and I'm gonna film a bunch of that this year. Definitely gonna
Good.
have
Oh,
to
I
get some
can't wait.
competitiveness. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. And so what I was getting to with my brother and I being competitive, normally my brother and I are on the same team, so we have to support each other.
Oh,
And
funny.
so it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to trash talk mom and dad. So
That's a cool thing that you have going on. That's really fun that you guys can do that, and you'll be able to do it forever. That's so neat.
hmm.
I've got two brothers, so I grew up the same way. Never wanted a sister. Like, loved having brothers and spaced out in age and stuff. But yeah, there's always a little bit of
Hmm.
competitive angle to that
Yep.
relationship. So, but it keeps it fun and interesting. So
Yes.
what?
I
So
always
with,
teased that I wanted
and
a
this is
sister
okay.
just so I could steal her clothes.
Oh, you know what's funny? And I was the opposite. My mom was like, "You always said you didn't want a sister because you'd never want to share your clothes," and I was like, "Yeah, I wouldn't want to share them."
I wouldn't want to share them, but I
I
would want to
steal them
take her
for
clothes.
sure.
So, but then, yeah. And then once, I don't know how you felt in college, but then once I got to college and I actually got to play my individual sport as a
Yeah.
team, I felt like I had 8 sisters,
Oh,
which was I was really blessed, especially at Charlotte, to have those girls who honestly are still some of
yeah.
my best friends to this day. So,
That's cool. And there's some like camaraderie and a different relationship with like all the friends or women in your life in different phases. And I always attribute, um,
hmm.
yeah, there being something really special and unique to those that you make over sport, um, is really different.
Oh, for
Yeah,
sure.
and it's so cool you still have that. So what's next for kind of your role, like as you see it in your role in golf? Because you're working with like Digital Golf Collective, and so you've put some, you know, I'd say like effort into kind of formalizing your presence and all that. Like, can you speak to like that relationship and what that means for you just going forward and what you want it to be?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so probably this May, honestly, started to really hone in on social media, digital content. I've always had an eye for brand marketing, so being able to do that
Mm-hmm.
kind of on my own, and then having Chloe, who's the best. I love her.
Yeah, she's
She's
so
my talent
sweet.
manager,
Mm-hmm.
and she has been really helpful with strategizing my ideas because I go a mile a minute. I have all these ideas,
Yeah.
but I don't know how to execute. And she
Mm-hmm.
definitely helps me with execution, finding the right companies, because I'm someone who's a little bit stubborn when it comes to social media. I hate scrolling through and seeing a girl who does runway and she's promoting, let's say, a tennis racket. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
what? This doesn't match. And so I've always really
Yeah.
prioritized finding a company that, or finding companies
Mm-hmm.
that like me for me and they do well on my
Yeah.
account. I would never promote something that I would never wear or use or
Sure.
have in my day to day. So definitely
Yeah.
been super. She's been super helpful with that, and I guess that's more. I mean, what it's been probably like 5 6 months of me really focusing on social media. But yeah, trying to probably put out some more series of doing outfit videos, going to the range as someone who is new to golf, how to attack a
Mm-hmm.
golf course. Because the range, once you do it a few times, it becomes pretty easy. I'm still
Yeah.
learning how to actually attack the range. How do I go warm up? How do I actually work on my shots versus just
Mm-hmm.
going out there and hitting the 74
Hitting
balls
balls.
that are put into yeah, that are put into the
It's
basket.
totally what I do.
But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, same, because I go out there with this plan. I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to hit 10 pitching wedges and then I'm going to hit 10
Yeah.
with the drill that I saw on TikTok." And I'm like, "No, I need to actually
All over
go
the
out
place.
and practice." But yeah, so probably some series on how to attack the golf course as well
Cool.
as and just overall who I am and just making people more involved in the sport and
Yeah.
just kind of growing the game, whether it's golf, whether it's tennis, whether it's
It's
pickleball, whether
cool.
it's being in
Yeah.
business. And yeah.
Do you ever think that your role as a content creator in golf, like, or like you said, any other sport there, do you think that could be a full-time gig for you?
Oh, I mean, that's the dream.
Or do
That
you
would
want
be
it to
awesome.
be? Is it? Well,
That would
that's
be
it.
awesome.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So that's the goal. I'm not, yeah,
That's amazing.
I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't put as much time into what, honestly, that's a lie.
Yeah.
I treat my Instagram like it's me texting my mom. I just post everything
Sure.
because why not? Because
That's
people,
smart.
and I
Yeah.
love seeing creators that are authentic as well. And I don't want to see
Yeah.
somebody who's made up 24/7. I mean, I do. It's great. She's cute, but if you're made up all the time, then
Right.
it's not real.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel as authentic,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to make it
Yeah.
more uh, just more of my personality. And just because it's like what I was saying, where I didn't realize that everybody didn't have performance anxiety. I didn't realize that everybody
Mm-hmm.
didn't think the way I thought, where I have to just voice what I'm going through, or voice what I've been through,
Yeah.
or voice this
Yeah.
is what I would wear to the BMW Championship versus what I would wear
Yeah.
to the bar to watch football, so like different stuff
Yeah.
like that, and how
Yeah.
they can also be like cross functional, where people need
Yeah.
inspo and I need inspo too. And it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where I'm just trying to continue developing my personality online and
Yeah.
showing people that I'm more than just a content creator and more than just
Yeah.
a person that does consulting. So
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
trying
that's
to
cool.
develop that more, and hopefully we'll grow some more. So yeah.
You will. You will. And that's, I think probably a lot of people in this space, it takes a while to get to that point where you're like, all
Hmm.
right, this is who I am. And I don't know. It's funny because we've got like the A.PUTNAM account, but I've been trying to post a little bit more on just my personal account because
Hmm.
there's no doubt my life is a reflection of like what I design and why I design it. And like today I posted a little bit about our like lounge collection that's coming out, and there were some design features that I changed, and I was like, this lounge collection has to have this like eco-friendly, water and stain resistant,
Right.
because my kids put shit all over me all the time. Like,
Yes.
and so like just trying to talk about it and be honest, and
Hmm.
you know, and finding that balance of like showing that I'm a mom of five, but
Right.
I like to dress up and I like, you know, like to feel
Hmm.
put together, and how do I do that? So like to your point, it's just you hope that what you put out there is relatable, and
Hmm.
it's like why not do it and just be
Right.
yourself and honest,
And
because it's what
yeah,
people
it's just a bunch
appreciate.
of
So
trial and error too, and just learning what,
totally.
well, and like learning what, just because it got a lot of likes doesn't mean I want to keep posting something like that. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
there's
true.
definitely some things that sometimes end up getting a lot of likes. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not gonna do that again. But hey, I'm not complaining. But that's where I
Yeah.
definitely try
Do you,
and focus in on like the TikTok versus Instagram, where TikTok's personality
yeah.
really kind of
Yeah.
my humor, and then like Instagram is a little bit more of the educational side rather than the entertainment side. So, but
Yeah.
trying to also not become super businessy and like super calculated
Yeah.
on there, because I want to keep it authentic.
Yeah.
I always told myself that if I ever did this full time, I would never put pressure on myself in social media, because it's mine. It's
Mm-hmm.
simply mine,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
for me. I'm posting for myself, and the minute you start posting for other people and for other people's likes, that's when the your career can take a
Mm-hmm.
bit of a turn. And so I've always tried to really
Yeah.
prioritize continuing, like if I like it, I'm posting it. So
That's cool. Kudos to you, because it's I'm sure not that easy with the pressures of the kind of analytics
oh
behind
yeah,
growing all that
I mean, you
and
know
stuff.
it,
So
yeah.
it's yeah, it's just a yeah, it's cool that even at your age you've got that that grounding like reminder of why you're doing it, and it's about what you want to do and not everybody else's opinion. So there's a
Right.
lot of value to that, but that puts you it puts you in a good spot and something you can be happy with. So, and I have to ask, what percentage of your followers right now are like men versus women? Is it a good mix, or is it
Hmm.
like, do you know?
I think it's 50-50, 60-40.
Yeah, like
I
pretty
think,
split.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty split right now. Still trying to grow, just
that's
because
cool.
when I started, this was my second account. I just posted it for myself. I honestly thought I made my account private, and then I ended up not. And it, like, I mean, Gabulous Gabs, like that's such a goofy name that is like I think one of my guy friends in high school called me Gabulous, and I was like, that's sticking. And so I just made
Oh,
like
that's
my
funny.
second account with that, and then I was like, and for a while I was Gabulous Golf, and it was strictly
Yeah.
golf swing, no
Mm-hmm.
education behind it. I would post really boring content, honestly. I would post played, like we lived right next to Steel Canyon is where I learned. Played Steel
Mm-hmm.
Canyon 9 holes, shot 52. Like no personality. And so I grew a lot of male following from that, just because I was like,
Yeah.
what female wants to see what I shot? She probably doesn't even understand what I don't even know what I'm talking about. So like I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay. And then as I
That's
continued to
cool.
grow and started to bring my personality to that account, I started to really focus in on it, and put more time into not just posting. Like, of course, I'm posting for the girls because that's what I do, but I'm not posting for anti-male. But like
Sure.
if you comment something nasty on my account, you will get blocked. Very gladly, you will
I
get
love
blocked.
it. I
But it's
love
just
it.
one of those, because I also get a lot of um like couples that DM. A lot of the girls end up DMing, but she's like, "Oh, like I'm gonna ask my boyfriend for this," and then like, "What size did you wear?" And then the boyfriend ends up,
Yeah.
like, honestly, I've had ones where they DM me and I'll click on them, and I never reply to the guys. I only reply to the girls, but I'll click on it and I'm like, "Wait, I swear I just saw," because like in their bio it'll say like at with like a little
Oh,
ring.
sure. Their
Yes, like
husband,
that's
yeah.
I think that's so cute. But
Oh,
and
that's
I'll click on it. I'll be
awesome.
like, oh,
Um,
I literally just replied to her DM, and so I'll just
oh,
message her and be
that's
like,
so
hey, like I
cool.
wore this. And so yeah, never really
So
replied
neat.
to the guys because also you never know. But but
You
we do love
don't,
the
but I just,
support. Right.
oh my gosh,
If
it's
you're
so,
supporting women in golf, I don't care what you are. We need you
yeah.
because we do need guys supporting women in
Yeah,
golf to move the needle. So
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, that's such a good point. That's so true. Oh, well, I like can't thank you enough for spending a whole hour
Oh, no
going
problem.
through
I
this because
enjoyed
I
it.
think, oh, I know, and it's so fun. It'll be really neat to kind of flush out what we got to share today with everybody, and I'm sure there's lots of people out there that are curious about your story and can relate to so many different parts of it. So it's really nice of you to
Hopefully.
share with us.
No, thank you for
Yeah.
having me on
And
here. I'm
next
glad
time I've
that
been,
I got to.
oh, I, me too, me too. And we are definitely cheering you on and can't wait to see you grow just as a businesswoman and in golf and all those things. So kudos to you to just focus on yourself and what you enjoy
Same with
doing. It's so
A.PUTNAM.
cool.
I am so excited to see where it goes. I am such a proponent
Thanks.
of y'all's brand. Everything y'all are doing is
Thanks.
right, and I love it. What'd
Thanks.
you guys post the other day? It was
That's
like
so sweet.
country club,
Oh.
from the course to the clubhouse or something. What was it?
Oh, what was it? Oh,
I was
Alexa's
like,
always in there doing
I'm
something
stealing that
great.
caption. It was perfect. It was
Oh,
exactly what I've been trying to like voice to people, like the country club chic,
yeah.
the capsule, like
Yeah,
cross-functional outfits, where you literally just come
right.
off the course and you're good.
I
You're
know.
good
It's
to
like
go
right into
probably
the
anywhere.
clubhouse and they don't have to think about it. I know.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
yeah, it is that like don't have to change, look put together enough that you didn't just play some sport
Right.
necessarily and yeah,
Mhm.
it's totally our jam. I love it. Well, good. Well, thank you so much again and we can't wait to share all of this with our community and yours and everything around it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited to see it
Thanks,
and
Gab.
continue working together and see where both of us go.
Yeah, me too. Likewise.